You just found out your net worth crossed $200 million. Your accountant calls with an idea. Buy an island. Your own private island. No neighbors, no rules, no one telling you what to do with your own patch of the earth. It sounds like the final upgrade, the last purchase on the ladder of wealth. But here's what nobody tells you before you wire the deposit. Owning a private island isn't the end of your problems. It's the beginning of a completely new set of them, ones that money alone can't always fix. Let's start with the price tag, because that's the easy part. A small private island, something modest, undeveloped, maybe a few acres, can be bought for as little as a few $100,000 in certain parts of the world. But the islands people actually dream about, the ones with white sand, deep water access, and a livable climate, those start in the low millions and climb past $100 million for the most exclusive properties. Richard Branson's Necker Island, for example, is one of the most famous private islands on Earth, and properties like it represent decades of investment far beyond the original purchase price. Here's the part that catches almost every buyer off guard. An island isn't just land. It's an entire disconnected ecosystem you now have to build and maintain from scratch. There's no city water line running to a private island, no power grid waiting to connect you, no sewage system, no internet cable, no road crew showing up to fix a pothole. Every single piece of infrastructure that a normal home takes for granted, you now have to import, build, and maintain yourself, often at a massive premium because of how remote the location is. Take power. Most private islands run on diesel generators because connecting to a mainland grid is either impossible or costs millions of dollars in underwater cabling. That means constant fuel shipments, generator maintenance, and backup systems in case something fails, because there's no utility company you can call when the lights go out at 2 in the morning. Then there's water. Fresh water doesn't just appear on a small island in the middle of the ocean. Most private islands require a desalination plant, a machine that turns seawater into drinking water, and these systems are expensive to install, expensive to run, and expensive to repair when they inevitably break down in a salt air environment that destroys machinery faster than almost anywhere else on the planet. And then there's the logistics of simply getting there. Unless your island happens to sit conveniently close to a major port, you're looking at boats, private planes, or helicopters just to move people, food, supplies, and workers back and forth. Every grocery delivery becomes a shipping operation. Every repair crew becomes a travel expense. Something as simple as replacing a broken window can turn into a multi-day logistical project once you factor in transporting materials and workers across open water. Now let's talk about staff, because an island doesn't run itself. You'll need caretakers who live there year-round, security, maintenance crews, and often a small operations team just to keep the property functional between your visits. Many private island owners maintain full-time staff even when they're only physically present a few weeks a year, because the alternative is returning to a property that's been battered by weather, overrun by vegetation, or damaged by neglect. Speaking of weather, this is where private islands become genuinely risky in a way most luxury purchases aren't. Islands sit exposed to hurricanes, tropical storms, rising sea levels, and erosion in a way that inland properties simply don't. A single major storm can destroy docks, buildings, and vegetation that took years and millions of dollars to establish. Insurance for private islands in storm-prone regions is notoriously expensive when it's available at all, because insurers know exactly how much exposure these properties carry. Maintenance itself becomes a constant battle against nature. Salt air corrodes metal, humidity destroys electronics, and tropical vegetation grows aggressively enough that leaving a property unattended for even a few months can mean returning to overgrown paths and deteriorating structures. Unlike a house in the suburbs that mostly takes care of itself between visits, an island actively fights to reclaim itself the moment you stop maintaining it. Then there's the question almost nobody considers going in: resale. Private islands are an extremely illiquid asset. The buyer pool for a $100 million island is tiny compared to the buyer pool for, say, a $100 million mansion in a major city. That means islands can sit on the market for years, sometimes decades, before finding the right buyer, and sellers often have to significantly reduce their asking price just to attract serious interest. Your island might be beautiful, but beautiful and liquid are two very different things when it comes to actually getting your money back out. This explains something that surprises most people. Many billionaires who could easily afford to buy an island choose not to. Instead, they rent private islands for weeks at a time through luxury resort and villa rental companies, getting the entire experience, the seclusion, the staff, the private beaches, without any of the year-round costs, maintenance headaches, or storm risk. They pay for the fantasy exactly when they want it and hand the keys back the moment the vacation ends. No generators to maintain, no desalination plant to repair, no insurance policy to negotiate every single year. So why do people still buy islands outright? Because just like the private jet and the super yacht, an island isn't really being sold as land. It's being sold as ultimate control. The idea that you and only you decide what happens on this piece of earth. That feeling of complete ownership is powerful. And for some buyers, it's worth every dollar of the ongoing cost because the value they're actually purchasing isn't the sand or the trees. It's the feeling of having escaped everyone else's rules entirely. The buyers who come out ahead in this game aren't the ones chasing the fantasy blindly. They're the ones who treat the island like the infrastructure project it actually is, budgeting for generators and desalination and storm damage the same way a company budgets for operating costs, long before they ever sign the purchase agreement. So the next time you see a private island featured in a luxury travel documentary or a billionaire posting from their own personal patch of paradise, remember what's actually happening behind that view. You're not just looking at beauty in isolation. You're looking at a self-contained infrastructure project that never stops needing attention, never stops needing money, and never fully belongs to anyone, no matter how much they paid for it. Because in the end, the ocean doesn't care whose name is on the deed.